Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Akamak, this is Let's Play Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. I actually have no idea where I'm going. In the last episode, we have very strong reason to believe that at least some faction of the Royal Army is now being extremely horrible. We don't know which one, but they're apparently trying to frame the Royal Guardsmen. And as it is, we've finally been let off the rails so we can go looking for treasure. Found a package wrapped in some oil paper. Inside was Hert's Adventure 2. So we can finally read this book. And yes, I have been completely forgetting to read the next chapter of Carnelia every time. Those magical spectacles must be capable of seeing the true nature of anyone who stands before them! After a fitful bout of shaking from the excitement, but this time making sure to check that its own spectacles were aligned, the genie gazed down resolutely at young Hertz. There's no point in having a boy such as yourself hanging on to such an invaluable item. In fact, it would be in your best interest to hand them over. Otherwise, it trailed off. But instead of elaborating on its threat, the genie simply extended its arms once more. This time, the genie picked up a boulder much larger than any normal person could lift. And young Hertz and Midas watched as the impressive rock disappeared into the fiery depths of its open mouth. Causing the wind to stir as it clamped down with its distended jaws with incredible force, the genie gulped down the large rock as if it had been a light snack. And not a moment later, a hollow sound like something thrown into a deep well echoed in the depths of its belly. So, have I made myself clear? If you do not hand over those spectacles, it is you who will end up being my next sweet morsel. Midas looked at young Hertz with a frightful gaze. Did you see that humongous mouth of his? He's the real deal, alright. It's just like the rumors say. Yeah, but that still leaves us with another problem, sighed young Hertz. Without my glasses, I can't continue my travels. As young Hertz stood pondering his dilemma, another large boulder by his feet disappeared into the genie's voracious mouth, followed once again by the ominous hollow echo from beneath its sable guard. But if he eats us, then we're both done for, argued Midas as he stood shivering with fright, imagining the candy he had swallowed not minutes before. I guess you're right, concluded young Hertz, and he stepped closer to the genie. All right, good sir, we'll give in to your demands. Being swallowed whole doesn't sound like much fun, he declared. And a wise choice you've made, boy. After taking a long look at young Hertz's face, the genie narrowed its eyes in a plethora of wrinkles around their corners. Young Hertz said nothing as he unseated a pair of glasses from his nose and obediently placed them at the feet of the genie. So these are magical spectacles, the creature said in a voice quavering with excitement as it squatted down, its face drawing closer to where they lay in the sand. Immediately it tossed aside its own spectacles and after blindly searching by hand for the object of its fascination through the soft granulated sand, picked them up and placed them snugly atop its nose. These are no less than magical spectacles indeed! It cried in a tremor of delight as it danced around, causing its robe to flutter about wildly. With these I shall have nothing to fear! And with one last deafening screech, it disappeared just as suddenly as it had arrived. The drifting echo of its voice faded, and the two boys once again stood alone on a sea of white sand. Midas scanned the area around them. It looks like he's really gone, he said, his voice weak with relief. Indeed, there was no sign as far as the eye could see of the black-robed figure. Feeling a pang of sympathy as he looked at the side of young Hertz's face, who strangely enough seemed amused about something, Midas began rummaging through his pocket looking for a piece of candy to offer to his friend as a token of solace over the loss of his trusty eyewear. Walking up to the other boy, Midas held out the piece of candy, its silver wrapper half undone. Don't be disheartened, old friend. It's not like this is the last adventure we'll ever have. I think I'm going to be just fine, replied young Hertz. His voice was subdued, but the adventurer's eye twinkled with laughter. Then, as if harkening back to some past event, he continued his thoughts loud. Man, that genie must have been blinder than a bat with no eyes, he said in astonishment. Midas stared at young Hertz uncomprehendingly until the boy turned toward him, a grin splitting his face from ear to ear. And Midas saw it, and a smile of his own spread across his face. For there, resting on top of his friend's nose, was something which had grown familiar to him over the years. In the end, it seems like the poor fool managed to mistake his own glasses for mine, young Hertz went on in a comical tone. So the ones you're wearing now are... Midas asked, though the silver rims of the glasses had already confirmed it. Yep, they're the exact ones I put on this morning. With a happy air, young Hertz took the sugary treat from his friend and popped it into his mouth. However, this time, as the honey glaze of the candy balls they carried in their mouths melted away, both he and his friend made certain not to swallow them whole. You know, Midas said as they walked along, Even if there were such thing as magical spectacles, I don't think they'd amount to anything in his possession, because as you and I both know, he has a habit of losing them when things matter the most. The end. Oh, yes, we have Agate's Quartz back. We have Eagle Eye. Once again, we can see enemies from a distance and on the map. All is right in the world. Skimming we should already be... Well, I mean, we're already mostly there. Oh, actually, I did have a thought. If I use the mouse to move about and hold it at a distance, then Estelle actually runs, so there must be a run button here that I've just never used. What I said were men in blue soldier... What I said I saw were men in blue soldiers' uniforms. I didn't say Royal Guardsmen. I've asked lots of people and they said they all saw soldiers in blue at the factory. Vince saw them too. I never did trust those puffed up guardsmen. What? The Royal Guard were here? Score! So yeah, that slander campaign is actually working. Do you think the people who were responsible for the attack were really Royal Guardsmen? And Royal Guardsmen, if you remember, were the people that trapped the mayor as he was escaping. So that means Chloe's friends. So this might be a chance to slander them. This might also be petty vengeance for stealing their capture. Because I think that's what's going on. Royal Intelligence is setting up problems and then solving them themselves. You know, once my sister gets a little bigger, I'm getting out of this place. I'm going to get into the central factory, start at the bottom and learn to build airships. I'm good with my hands, so my mom ought to understand. Archives is the second floor. Of course, the problem is that I don't know what the run button is, which means I might accidentally end up pressing it at the wrong moment. It might not work with the speed up of Alt. Oh, did you find the book by any chance? Indeed we have. Again, please check it over just to be certain. Handed over Hertz Adventure 2. Temp Librarian plus 2 completed. Yes, this is the genuine article. That leaves us with just one left. I need a break. What kind of book are we chasing down this time anyway? I'll spare you the teasing this time. The last one is entitled 31 Cypress Trees. Here's its card. It's got more of that unusual writing on it. RU31 Cypress trees nestled upon this grassy hill. Affliction of far-off lands. Draw a nigh unto me like wine barrels, tumbling lightly down into a soft recline as I drift into reverie, enveloped within resonating of the tolling bell. Unfortunately, I've already looked up the answer to this one, so I'm not really... 3FL. Oh man, more of this gibberish? I think I'm actually starting to get used to these. Another riddle. Yeah, I guess so. Is this your specialty or something? Well, your task is the same as before. May Idios herself speed you on your way to success. Okay, we're going! Pardon us? Let me see. Well, anyway, it's at Sanctime Gate. In those barrels I was looking at before in the previous episode. I feel like games are just really... Maybe it's just that I'm getting too much of things that I get upset about easily in short succession. I've had a lot of nasty bosses that feel like they aren't plot significant enough to deserve that sort of honor. And then I also have a lot of plot railroading when I'm really nervous about not completing books. It's just getting very wearing on me. I've also doubled my upload schedule, which meant that it was really painful to see Nico B upload a 2-hour video covering things when I figured that he wouldn't... I figured that he'd split up the rest of chapter 2? Yeah, chapter 2. I figured he'd split up chapter 2 into 2 episodes at least, but no, he just bulldozed the entire thing, and that one... I want to beat this game before he does. I've been motoring hard just so I can have my own experiences with the game. A package was found wrapped in oil paper. Inside was 31 cypress trees. Woohoo, found it! That's the last one. Now we can finally finish up our work for the librarian. You ain't kidding. Huh? What's wrong? There's a card stuck in the book. And something's written on it. You have done well, though I know you not. I salute you for coming so far. Allow me to introduce myself. I am a quartz researcher, and the criminal who hid the 3 books. I've used the riddles as a way to find someone intelligent to whom I could entrust my work. You lived up to my hopes and expectations remarkably. Consider the enclosed quartz your reward. Take care when examining it. Thank you for all your time. I truly hope that my quartz will prove useful to you. P.S. If you found this package by sheer chance, how embarrassing. And lucky you! Please return it to the 2nd floor archives of the Central Factory. That's it. So it was all one big practical joke? Yeah, I guess so. Have you looked in the package? Oh right, let's see what we can see. Found Impede 3. Jackpot! I think we should check in with the client for the time being. Fine by me. So, do I have Impede? Impede 3 is a wind quartz. I don't need the defense at the moment because I'm not facing bosses, so... Yeah, if we take away her EP cut, then she loses her super curing abilities. I don't like it, but I suppose it does give her an AoE. I'd have preferred the water AoE one, but... what can you do? Actually, wait, what actually did that do? Prevent enemy arts with 80% success. Yikes, that's very good. We did kill this chapter's Shining Pom, right? Yes. And I found out something very unfortunate. Why do you have this many? Collect 3,000 of every sepith, so unfortunately I spent it... I'm glad that I got my sepith stores up for that 1,000 achievement, but it took me this long to get 1,000. How am I going to save up for 3,000? Like, I had to use that stuff to get my augments upgraded so I stood a chance with boss fights. Oh, actually... books. The good farmer Sheprot planted 5 cypress trees in his garden. The good farmer Sheprot dunged the earth carefully about them. The good farmer Sheprot suffered a year of pestilence. The good farmer Sheprot washed all of his trees withered away. The good father Sheprot planted another 7 cypress trees. The good farmer Sheprot dung the earth about them even more. The good farmer Sheprot suffered a year of bitter winter. The good farmer Sheprot watched as all of his trees snapped in the biting cold. The good farmer Sheprot planted still another 9 cypress trees. The good farmer Sheprot dung the earth about them furthermore. The good farmer Sheprot saw his trees grow into a great canopy. The good farmer Sheprot watched as all of his trees broke under the weight of a great snow. The good farmer Sheprot planted yet another 11 cypress trees. The good farmer Sheprot plucked those which were frail and cast them into the fire. The good farmer Sheprot suffered another year of pestilence and great winter. The good farmer Sheprot watched as his last tree grew into a magnificent fir. The good farmer Sheprot, in order to confect a single grand cypress, the good farmer Sheprot planted 32 cypress trees. The good farmer Sheprot, with his loving goodness for them all, the good farmer Sheprot brought 31 cypress trees to the depths of ruination. Hang on. 5, 7, 9, 11. So that's... hang on. 9 and 11, that's 20. 5 and 7 makes 32. So why is it 31 cypress trees? Is that the 31 that died along the way? That feels... 31 died so that one may live. And of course the only one that would feel happy about that is the one that did live. Incidentally, apparently this is the time where your running shoes quest is... This is when they expect you to turn in this quest. Which I guess is fair. I got impatient and I kept trying to turn it in too soon. Oh, perchance have you... Yep, we have the last book. Just to be sure, please take a good look at it. Handed over 31 cypress trees. How am I going to carry all these trees, though? Temp Librarian plus 3 completed. Yes, this is definitely it. I'm impressed you actually found all 3 books. It just took some perseverance and patience. Oh yeah, that's not all we found. It was right in the same spot as the book. Too late, it's already ours. Handed over the note and quartz left behind by the thief. Perhaps this is a clue as to his motivations. Still, regardless of the reason, you've done a great deal for me. You can keep the quartz for yourselves. In return for my having taken up so much of your time. Thank you! So is that all you need us to do? Yes, that's the lot. That's a relief. I was afraid you were going to say you still had more work for us. No joke. You've worked so hard that there's really nothing left. I'm very grateful for your help. Now I can just relax for the time being. What? Oh, it's nothing. Thank you again. Feel free to come by any time. We will, thanks! Pleased to be of service. Hello, if I need your help again, I'll be giving you a call. Now here's the question, if I go to the Bracer Guild... 256 BP. 260 BP. Welcome back, it looks like you finished your job. If you clear any other contracts, make sure you come here and report it. I did get enough BP, right? Yeah, 260. 10 losses, so I think it's counting deaths as losses rather than outright failing, but still. I don't like games that keep track of my stats like this. Anyway, let's just have a look at the what's-its. I'm pretty sure we'd have figured out if we missed out on a big monster. Collect every quartz. We have 49 quartz, right? We have our shiny. Little news, huh? Let's just check to see if they've got a new book in stock there. I can just imagine them seeing us walk in and go, "Oh no, it's the awful ice cream girl again! Please, you've nearly driven us out of business! Hello, welcome to the Bell Station." Liberal News, Issue 7. And, weapons. Let's have a look at the list. 10 of 14 armor. Okay, we're good there. 34 weapons. We're good there. We need to read a new book of Carnelia and the new Libel News. Yeah, let's spend the rest of the episode reading, since we've already had so many books in this episode. Shock over terrorist incident. According to an announcement made by the Royal Army Intelligence Division, a terrorist attack occurred at the Zeiss Central Factory. Concrete details remain scarce, but the smoke canisters deployed by the criminals caused a temporary state of panic. After the incident, residents witnessed soldiers dressed in blue uniforms exit the building. The Royal Army has expanded checks and is currently tracking the phony soldiers' movements. Relating to the blue uniforms reported at the scene, several witnesses have indicated they were uniforms worn by the Royal Guard. The Intelligence Division has avoided making any statements regarding the matter, but if this information proves to be true, the implications could affect the entire Royal Army. We will carefully follow how this situation develops in the near future. In the evening, 2 days prior to the incident, an unusual phenomenon occurred within the city of Zeiss which caused all movements to black out temporarily. The Royal Army is currently investigating whether or not there is any connection to the recent terrorist attack. So, yeah, this is why I think the Black Orbment might belong to the aggressors here. Because they heard about the blackout in the city and they went, "Oh no, there's our orbment! They probably gave it to Professor Russell! We've got to capture everyone related to it because we cannot let this story get out." The perpetrator's objective in this latest terrorist incident is still unclear at the time. Libel News has therefore compiled some theories of being bandied about in connection with the incident. Imperial conspiracy. The Imperial forces were behind the incident in order to get their hands on Central Factory's technology. I think they took the computer, I forgot to check! This theory suggests that a mercenary force like a Jaeger Corps was used to carry out the actual attack. Theory 2. Insurrection within the Royal Army. An insurgency was carried out by a part of the Royal Army, and in order to send a shockwave across the kingdom, this same group sought to occupy the Central Factory. However, without any prior incident from the military, this does not seem plausible. Attack by the Ancient Dragon! A rather odd theory by a group of researchers that purports that the Ancient Dragon living within the mountainous region attacked the Central Factory. This theory is best addressed by returning to it in a few weeks to see if any verifiable evidence has been left behind. Gransel region and Arnberg Wall. The Arnberg Wall, the last line of defense during the 100 Days War, which protected the royal city from invading the Imperial Army. This wall, likened to a protective shell encompassing the whole of Gransel, is one of several ancient ruins scattered across the kingdom. If one were to climb atop the ramparts from both Gurune and Sanctum gates, one might just be able to feel the wisdom of the ancients through that majestic structure. This time I'll be introducing a hotel rather than an inn. The hotel which I speak of, the Rohnbaum, boasts of the highest pedigree in the entirety of Libel Kingdom. This hotel stands next door to Gransel Castle, a location other establishments can only dream of. It's just a few minutes walk from Gransel's East Block. If one intends to fully enjoy the annual festivities, this is one place which should not be left off your list. Especially for those celebrities from all walks of life, by all means, take this opportunity to experience its critically acclaimed service. I'm going to go check to see, because I think they did actually steal the supercomputer. It might just be because they were worried that they might have listed stuff about the Black Orbment in there, but it might also be, we want that game. I want to go play video games on it. It kind of does feel like they're just being greedy and wanting all the cool stuff for themselves, but it could also be that they're trying to squash information about the Black Orbment, because technically they've been helping out a lot of people do pretty horrible things. Greetings, Braces! I've heard from Murdoch. Well, I haven't heard everything, but it's time for the rescue. I'll be waiting for the safe return of both the Professor and the Capelle. Do your best, may Idios watch over you all. The core of the Capelle has been removed. And I thought the Capel was going to end up being the chapter boss. I guess they don't have AI advanced quite that enough yet. And so, one more book. Carnelia, Chapter 7. Wheezing, I breathed in, the sound high and whistling as the air fought to make it through my constricted windpipe. Still clutching tightly at my orbment, I unwound the sheets from my throat. Utterly exhausted, I tilted my head on its side and watched the threatened eyes as a small stream of saliva dribbled down over the edge of my mouth and pooled onto the floor. When fresh air finally made its way into my lungs, it initially choked me nearly as badly as the sheet had. A thump from somewhere behind startled me from my fit. The Jaeger demoness, like a spring-loaded doll, leaped up from the floor of the room. A single shot of magic I had previously landed in her gut should have done the trick, but the fluid way she moved about it made it appear as if she was unfazed by the blast. Within arm's reach, where I had subconsciously curled myself, came the splintering sound of unseasoned wood being hewn down by a giant woodcutter's axe. In the following instant, Sister Carnelia came flying through a newly opened hole in the timber door, her entry punctuated by a cloud of splinters. Her arms as pliant as whips, she passed by the female Jaeger in a lightning-quick motion, and with a turning assault clocked her opponent full tilt in the face. The woman spun with the force of the blow and fell with a tumultuous thud, her head cracking against the floor. Like a prima ballerina, Sister Carnelia raised her knee up high until she had it tucked securely up against her sternum. She stared down at the outstretched figure on the floor. Muscles flexed, and without an ounce of mercy, Sister Carnelia let her judgment fall with the heel of her boot, stomping down and crushing the wretched woman's throat. As I witnessed the grotesque and unsightly scene, Sister Carnelia gave a quick glance in my direction and beckoned me on. Then with a noble hop into the unknown before her, she cleared the broken window frame and lighted to the ground below. Quickly scraping my belongings together, I made after her in the same manner as she had left, out the window with a 2-story drop to the cobblestone side road below. Waiting close by and helping to break my less than elegant fall, Sister Carnelia led me on as we took flight along the avenue, brightly lit by the morning sun. As a deafening blare made from the orbital engine's whistle indicated that the first train was about to depart. Sister Carnelia immediately pulled a ticket out from her coat pocket and held it out to me from the side. Reaching for the fluttering strip of paper between her fingers, I realized I was still carrying the bar of soap from before, so I chucked it, not caring about where it landed or who it might hit. Aboard the train, the smoky haze from the incessant smoking of the nattering gentlemen had permeated into every nook and cranny of the passenger car. There was also the smell of newly printed publications, and the occasional sound of someone clearing their throat. It felt rather awkward to have boarded a train bound for the Imperial City with my bag still in hand. "Do you know what your problem is, Toby?" Sister Carnelia remarked. "You're just like that augment of yours." Using her white handkerchief, she staunched the flow of blood from my leg, which had been lacerated by spinning arrow blades of magic. Once you get yourself into trouble, you keep digging yourself in deeper until someone comes along with a billy club and whacks some good sense into you. Placing a folded magazine on my lap, she tapped on it with the nail tip of her index finger, indicating I should read what was inside it. It was a copy of the Imperial Chronicle, which had been published just that morning. A several-lined article, buried pages behind more titillating news, told of the suspicious death of one Orbital factory owner somewhere within the capital. This was the first time I had ever become aware of Mick's real age. Sister Carnelia continued her lecture as she mercilessly upbraided me for my reckless behavior. "You missed being caught up on all of this by a hair's breadth," she informed me coolly. At a loss of words over the shock of Mick's death, I put the magazine away in my trench pocket. Another 5 minutes in that shop, you would have gone to meet your maker too. I shook my head and with trembling lips let my thoughts fumble out of my mouth. I just don't get it. Why did Mick have to die? Images of Mick's cold body behind the counter alternated in my mind with that lump of scrap metal wrapped in paper. Just what the hell have I been carrying all this time? Why did anyone have to die over it? I pondered at length. Sister Carnelia met my eyes and held them. "Because it's an artifact," she said simply. "An artifact?" I scoffed as I blew off her question. "It's not like I haven't carried a bunch of them around before." Artifacts, in short, were the remaining legacy of an ancient civilization, a generic term for any unidentifiable mechanism which resembled that of an orbment. I had spent my days as a courier smuggling any number of those items under false pretense that the goods I was carrying were nothing more than rare antiques. and readily placed them in the hands of those aristocrats amongst whom they were especially in vogue. And for the most part, my current possession appeared as though it belonged in the same group as the others. Personally, I could find no other value in collecting of these artifacts besides the indulgence of oneself in a decadent hobby. Chiding me as if I were a clueless child, Sister Cornelia rebuked, "You're wrong, Toby. This one's much different than the others." After a moment's pause, she added, "It's alive." Unable to grasp what she had meant, I looked at her with a questioning expression on my face. Sister Cornelia tried again. "What I'm trying to tell you is that it still works, although I'm not really sure what kind of power it actually has. It was unearthed during an excavation within the Empire's territory, about 3 years ago." Sister Cornelia's subsequent story about the peculiar lump of metal told of the dark history surrounding a group of aristocrats who relentlessly sought after it. The artifact itself had transitioned from hand to hand by those in power, as one after another they were murdered while slumbering in their bedchambers. Then, at the end of the 100 Days' War, its whereabouts were said to have been lost. And strangely enough, it finally turned up in the capital after all this time, she said, finishing up the account. An announcement chimed in that the passenger car notifying those of the riding of the scheduled time of arrival. Sister Cornelia uncrossed and recrossed her long legs. The one who was after the artifact hired that Jaeger corpse to bring it to them, whatever the cost. So as a result, I was dispatched by the church in order to protect both of you and it from falling into their hands. So she's a nun assassin, go figure. I was staring down at the bag resting next to my feet as we approached our destination, and the moving train quietly began to lose speed. And then they got attacked again in Chapter 8. Okay, so until next time guys, take care, I'll see you all around. Intelligence Division has a lot to answer for. Although no, there's no way, this is their main base, and it explains why all the people that have been having brainwashing problems have been sent here. It's to keep them quiet. Until next time guys, take care, I'll see you all around.